This is the all-new Mazda 6 and it's been completely refreshed inside and out. But more significant is that it reintroduces a turbocharged engine. It's the first time we've seen a turbocharged engine in a Mazda 6 since the MPS. But this is not a performance car. Instead, Mazda has its sights set on rivals like the top of the Toyota Camry and Holden Commodore range, while also encroaching on the toes of Lexus and Infiniti. Outside it gets a more striking look, and though similar to before, it's changes like the new diamond pattern grille and the removal of the fog lamps for LED headlights that improve its look. The rear has also had some love and gets a few tweaks, including larger exhaust tips and new alloy wheels all around. And don't forget, it's also available as a wagon.
And there are further changes inside, and nearly everything inside the interior is changed except for the steering wheel and a couple of touch points. The air vents have a more horizontal design element to them, and they just help to lengthen out the rest of the dashboard, which is a purposeful change by Mazda to create a bit more of a airy atmosphere inside. And it does work. There's also some nice material bits and pieces used, such as this soft touch that goes across the dash. There's some leather here in the center console. It's used on the door panels as well. That's got stitching in it, and there's also some nice timber trim. So overall it just elevates the feeling. It's a little bit more premium, a little bit more on par with some European rivals, certainly up there with the Japanese stuff from the Lexus and Infiniti. So Mazda's done a nice change inside. It's really helped the feeling.
Safety tech is also accounted for with adaptive radar cruise control, AEB, blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning and lane keeping assist, all as standard. The new engine is a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged motor, and it produces 170 kilowatts of power and 240 newton meters of torque. Now that torque comes on from 2000 RPM, which is relatively low in the rev range, and that's because of Mazda's special twin exhaust bypass that helps spin the turbine at low RPM. It's sort of a bit like putting your finger on the garden hose and squirting the water out at a faster rate. The engine is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, and Mazda says it has no plans of adding either a manual or CVT.
Well, the big news in the new Mazda 6 is definitely that turbocharged engine. It makes 170 kilowatts and 420 newton meters of torque. Now, it's not a huge power output, and we're told it goes over 180 kilowatts when you use 98 RON petrol, but that 420 newton meters of torque is pretty grunty. Thing is though, it feels more refined than it does like a performance engine. A lot of that's got to do with the torque truncating and the electronic stability control that's nipping away a little bit of power just because it's all going through the front wheels. So the more powerful Mazda 6 MPS from years ago that produced even more power, that had all-wheel drive, so it could just let it go hell for leather. It's not the case here, and it certainly worked towards a more refined ride, and that's certainly working out in how it drives. The automatic shifts quite well, works with the power really well, but it's more of a smooth power delivery rather than something that's urgent. So overtaking on country roads, there's enough there, definitely enough poke, but it's not going to push you back in your seat. You put your foot down, and well, we've timed it at about 0 to 100, approximately 7.5 seconds, so it's good figures. It's not performance or sports car territory if that's what you think it is. However, compared to the old naturally aspirated engine, this is far nicer to drive. And it's also pretty calm in here. There's a little extra sound deadening they've worked to make it a little quieter. That seems to have worked out pretty well. On a couple hundred kilometers that we've driven, the sound insulation's been quite good. Coarse chip roads, a little bit noisier, otherwise quite nice. The ride as well, perhaps that's improved a little bit according to Mazda. It feels pretty similar to what it was. Reasonably compliant, soaks up most of the bumps. It can be a little firm on the harder, bigger hits, of course, and at the same time it's not quite too firm that it's a performance car or anything like that. So overall, just a refined, nice drive, matches the rest of the interior and all of the changes Mazda have made. So definitely a nicer Mazda 6 in this biggest update that it's had.
The new Mazda 6 Turbo brings some much needed zoom, but it's still not a sports car. Instead, it's a well-refined and effortless car to drive, with plenty of poke and a nice interior. The new Mazda 6 Atenza Turbo will be available from June and priced from $46,690 plus on-road costs, or $48,990 for the wagon.